Dustin, kick things off here. It is New York, and New York with a big number.
Yeah, we just with last week's report, we just crossed 10 billion in handle in New York. It wasn't that long ago that we were tracking the entire nation, and 10 billion would have been a huge number to in terms of what the total handle in the U.S. market. Now New York is just blowing up our charts in terms of that. We get 10 billion just since they launched earlier this year, over 8 months. Absolutely crazy number that I think we expected because it's a big state, but just a lot going on in New York, and again, this is the first full season of the NFL for New York. We expect there's going to be, despite people saying they're pulling back on marketing, going to be a push here in New York and the tri-state area up there with how much sports betting is going on. So should be interesting to see where New York goes with its first full NFL season. Again, they're live for the Super Bowl, but this should be a big deal. This 10 billion number also just kind of underlines the opportunity if any other state that's bigger than New York, California, Texas on the radar for later this year and early next year in terms of legalization possibilities. Just the sheer amount of money that we're talking that's going to change hands. If those happen as well, we're at this critical mass where sports betting really comes into its own in the U.S.
So, Adam, we're looking here. You are I'm going to go ahead and call you a former New Yorker. I mean, I know that New Yorker always at heart, but former New Yorker. And listen, this number here doesn't surprise me at all. And then as we head into the NFL season, we know the Super Bowl betting favorite is the Buffalo Bills. There is at least some sentiment that the Giants could be better with their new coaching staff and things that are going on there. So there is at least some sentiment that they could be actually better. The Jets, we'll talk about them maybe in a couple of years. I think they're on the right track, but that's neither here nor there. So we might actually see, futures liabilities in New York on the Bills. It's got to be just insanity. We should ask a bookmaker what the liability is on the Bills from a futures market and all that. And I mean, listen, there's other ways to bet the Giants or the Jets and things and whatnot. So I think that there is, as we head into the season, not only we're getting big numbers from New York, but with the way that the teams and the outlook looks right now, it could be really, really crazy.
The Flacco disrespect is palpable, and it disgusts me, sir. How dare you write off the New York Jets like that? But clearly the Jets and the Giants not on the same level as the Buffalo Bills, and now we get the first full season of NFL betting, right? We don't have apples and apples to compare in New York right now. We started NFL betting essentially in the middle of the playoffs last year in New York, and so that got to be something that kind of existed in its own vacuum, and now we'll see what it looks like with a full season. What I think is interesting, not just in New York, but elsewhere, is that we've had multiple books, Caesars notably, talk about pulling back on marketing spend. And New York does not feel like a great place to pull back on marketing spend. However, the question is, how do you make money there if you continue to spend money there with the 51% tax rate? So New York is a really complicated web to untangle in understanding, okay, FanDuel has huge market share. They've made clear that they're going to continue to spend because they have the heft of Flutter behind them to be able to keep spending and acquire customers who might go to another sportsbook for a bonus and then come back to FanDuel based on the fact that they have demonstrated a superior user experience. At the same time, you have 8 other sportsbooks in New York that are competing for share, and some of them, this is a major opportunity for them, like a Bally's, who doesn't really have much to speak of elsewhere, right? So, when I look at New York, I feel like we're really in the first full, what do you want to call it? First full sample size that we're going to get from New York. I almost can't compare it to what we saw in January.
Yeah, it's going to be super interesting for me. And again, this is, it helps too when the teams are good, and certainly the interest is high. And it would take, I think, a miracle for the Bills not to be in it throughout the course of the season, and to at least, as we head into the playoffs, be one of the teams that are one of the favorites to take it all down. And so you would think, with that being the case, that New York is probably going to continue to just to pound these markets and certainly get a ton of handle flying in each and every week on the squad. So I am super, super interested in how that all plays out.